Hello and welcome to the Merle and Locke podcast. I'm Merle.
And I'm Locke.
Set sail and low expectations for everything nerd, accompanied by healthy, albeit shameful helping and pointless banter, lack of focus, and questionably acquired knowledge. All right, Locke. So for this episode, I wanted to talk about, in the last episode we talked about some experiences that we had with our friend group and what have you, and I'm sure countless episodes we've had this conversation because of like how tight knit a group we are, and how many like get-togethers we have, and how much we support each other and what have you. And I wanted to get into like some stories that we might have of crazy stuff or funny things that we've had with the group. As far as it goes, right, it's something that you guys have been together for a long time, like some as far back as high school, with a lot of the group. And it was something that, like, I'm pretty much the new guy that came in. And it's been something that it's enriched my life so much, and I appreciate, I can't even say how much I appreciate it and what it's done for me. But it was something where I came into because it was through my brother. And he was in this big friend group, and there was countless times where he's referred to, stories. He's told me stories about like get-togethers that you all have had, and different parties that you've done, and it's always been something really exciting to me.
Mm-hmm.
And I remember he was telling me one story, right, which was it was the most hilarious story. And okay, well, first before I tell that story,
gotta leave me in suspense.
Now, I want to know if you can tell it better. Were you actually there during the Pooh Bear story?
The Pooh Bear. Like, I remember hearing some things.
Okay, so if you were there, I would love to tell this story. If I could, and maybe you could expand on some of it.
I'll definitely expand on some of it. You can say what all you have heard, and I can kind of like chime in at the bits that I really recall.
Okay, all right. So this is one that originally my brother told me about, and it was a story that he. Obviously, the state that he was in, he could not remember any of it.
Yeah, I can tell you, and this is where I'm going to chime in for a little bit of it. I can tell you what got him to that point. I remember what he was drinking, what I was drinking alongside him. This man was drinking some sake bombs, and if you're not quite familiar with sake bombs, it is sake mixed with Red Bull. So we were both wired and tipsy, and he was just slamming them down. I don't even know how many he had, because, quite honest, I was blitzed.
I remember the fact that our friend, a mutual friend that we all have, his parents own a property on a little island, which it's not anything, like when I say that, I know like the first thing that comes to your mind is like, oh, a property on an island, how fancy, but it's not that fancy. Okay. It's very like redneck, well, for our blood, it is fancy.
Some people might look at it as pretty redneck, or
yeah, it is very redneck. Like, I think like the Redneck Yacht Club is like their theme song or something. But it's kind of like that. But it's amazing. Like, I absolutely love the place. And that's where a lot of our biggest stories come from, because this is a place where we all go, like everybody in the friend group go, and we get out of hand, Not like, not anything like too crazy, but like we all get crazy wasted and we party and we have a lot of fun with one another and everybody's very close. So there's not like any, super drama or anything most of the time. But it's just like good times all around. But anyway, getting back to that, to the story that we were referring to with my brother, was that he was drinking these sake bombs, like you said, yeah, and he, what I know of it is the fact that he told our buddy's father, who owned that little property, that he could drink him under the table, right? That was the challenge. Now, I don't know if he didn't know then, but something that we certainly know now is that our buddy's father, he drinks for a living. I'm pretty sure, like the man has to get paid for it. It's crazy how much he drinks.
Yeah, I've always seen him as the beer connoisseur.
Yeah, exactly. And my brother was so hammered that he had the gall to take on this man, and he said you could drink him under the table. So they started doing sake bombs, and it got to the point where he was so wasted. Right, he was absolutely obliterated. And I heard I heard a story at that moment, like after my brother stood up, like I guess he was going to the bathroom, right?
Right.
And well, he was going to the outhouse out back.
Yes.
And the outhouse is, it's dark back there, right? It's a place where it's a little creepy, bug infested. No one hangs out back there. It stinks pretty bad, like nobody's around.
Uh-huh.
But he like gets up out of his chair and he starts walking to go around back. And one friend that we have, who we'll call Snake, right? He told me about it where my brother got up and he started stepping off the patio. And I guess he forgot there was a step down.
Yeah.
And he just ran his face, like the rest of his body was up in the air, and his face went straight into the ground. Yeah. And just slapped into the ground. And he's like, that's where it all started. And he got up and he was like, I'm fine.
That was a start to the story. Like, this is where it truly started. Either the story started getting better or...
Yeah. But no, this is the point of the story where like his face connects with the ground, with the rest of his body up in the air, and then it's freeze frame, and he's like, I bet you're wondering like how I ended up here. One of those kind of stories.
I pictured it as it's like that moment when you're watching a show and that one guy falls and everybody goes, oh. And he gets back up and he's like, hey! And everybody goes, woo! Like, yeah, he jumped, he tried to jump back up and he's just like, I'm okay.
And after that, okay, so, oh boy. So he goes back, he makes it back to the outhouse, right? And he's taking a while. Like, everybody's starting to get, a little curious, like, what's taking him so long? Is he pooping? I don't know. Somebody go check up on him. Now, who was it that went to check up on him?
This, I believe, was Mr. Spanish.
Oh, was it Mr. Spanish? Okay.
Yes.
So Mr. Spanish went back to check up on him, and he saw, when he looked in the outhouse, all he could see were my brother's shorts and underwear, right? And perhaps his shoes and socks, or whatever he was wearing.
If I remember right, his shorts were outside of the outhouse, and his underwear was inside the outhouse.
Right. So Mr. Spanish saw this, And obviously, he went back to report, right?
Right, as
So
you would,
like,
as one would do.
yeah. So he didn't see my brother anywhere. So he was just like, I better report back. So he went back and he to talk to Snake. And
I was there to hear this conversation happen and the look on Snake's face.
okay, you tell this part.
So, Spanish goes up to Snake and he says, Meatwad, he's gone. With like pauses like that. So Snake's reaction, and much like his reaction put me off, he goes, what? Thinking that Meatwad is now deceased. And Mr. Spanish goes, no, his pants and underwear are there, but he is gone. There's such relief on Snake's face, but the rest of us are now on a hunt to find this pantsless, underwearless man who's now on the loose on an island. We're concerned maybe this guy is running cabin to cabin, terrorizing the locals.
Oh man, amazing! Now I know. Like I thought that was the most hilarious thing, where Mr. Spanish was just like, "He's gone," and Snake's instant reaction was to think that he was dead,
Yep.
and he's like, "What?
Oh my god!
Oh my god, he's dead!" Oh man! Now you okay? So I know there was like some kind of search party put together. I know that
Right.
much, and I like I roughly remember someone saying that you guys were on the trail that was going in the middle of the island, and you were looking around for him, and you eventually found him. Where?
Eventually, we had found him behind the outhouse. No, nobody had seen it before, but he was just behind the outhouse, and he was laying on his back. So much to whoever found him was very surprised
No.
to see what they had seen. Immediate reaction was, well, let's at least let him lay there, but first, make sure he's on his stomach so that if he does puke, he won't be doing it on himself. He won't choke on it. So that's all that was done, and I believe that somebody had then taken out like a towel or something to just lay across his bottom.
Oh my god. It's hilarious, like, what dudes will do for their buddies, right? I feel like dudes are more like, oh, he's a grown man, like, he could take care of himself kind of thing.
Uh-huh.
And sure, we'll do little things for our guy friends and be like, oh, he's passed out naked in a bush. Lay a towel over him. He'll sleep it off, you know?
It's just that funny thing when everybody's been drinking, just come up with some drunk ritual to help their friend. It's just enough to work, anyway.
It's like the very bare minimum to help, you know?
Right. You know, there's some thoughtfulness behind it.
Yeah, I mean, it's the thought that counts, yeah.
Nothing sobers up some people real quick than thinking that your friend had passed away, though.
Yeah, right, that's true.
Oh my god.
So to expand on that, do you have any other funny stories that you may have experienced in the friend group? Any cool tales you could regale us with?
Let's see. I can recall a moment at a party where I wasn't so super toasted at or blitzed at that I can regale Mr. Lost and Snake wanting to put up the dukes. They're wanting to
Oh.
they were wanting to just UFC fight. Just you know, really show that man mentality.
Now, were there ladies present at the party?
There were some ladies present, I
Okay,
believe.
all right, I get it. I get it.
There was also, I remember, some guy who was super eager to egg on this fight. It kind of reminds me of that meme of the guy who's just like, grab his dick and twist it. The old dick twist. That was this guy just egging on the fight. I had the video. I don't know if I have it anymore. You can kind of hear the guy in the background just really trying to egg on the fight.
Yeah.
Mind you that these two fellas are related too, so there's not any actual
No bad blood.
Yeah, no bad blood. So whenever they're fighting, they're just going at it. You know, I think I was chiming in. I may have been drinking a little bit, so I.
Yeah, naturally.
I remember being Mr. Lost's boxing coach, and I was I was being what's his name off of Rocky? Mickey? Was it Mickey? But yeah, I was being that guy. I was imitating him and everything. And after a few hits, first time around, he was already kind of like, woohoo! Like, you got this, Rocky. But I know it ended with eventually there was some blood that was shed, and Mr. Snake came around, and he's just like, oh my god, no. Up until that, like, everything was funny and fun and whatnot, but
Yeah.
then it caused some serious reactions. Like, everybody's now concerned. I'm trying to think of some other moments. Can you think of any?
Okay, so I mean, we got one which we referenced earlier. The first one that comes to mind is one where it was Lost's birthday. I'm pretty sure it was a birthday weekend that he was having, and every year we make this thing called the gin bucket.
Yes.
Right? So it's a big old 5 gallon bucket that's filled with oh gosh. Like I know it's got some kind of booze and pink lemonade, and it's got lemons cut into it and limes and Sprite. Yeah, it's all kinds of things. It's just a big old bucket of booze. It's a mixed drink, and we stick a bunch of turkey basters in it, and everybody, like, it's like a ceremonial thing where, like, Hobie comes around with the gin bucket, carrying it by the handle, drops it down into, like, between a bunch of us, and we're like, everybody's gonna take a shot. So we all take a turkey baster full of booze, and we all take a shot together.
So, some people might see it as some sort of like ritualistic thing going on with a bunch of people on an island drinking out of the same bucket.
Yeah, it's not very hygienic, I suppose.
No.
But no, it's a lot of fun, and we all look forward to it every year, and it tastes amazing. Like, you can get in real trouble with this stuff.
Absolutely.
Because it tastes so good. But it was late in the night, and Lost was so drunk, impossibly drunk, and we decided to go for a little night swim in the river, right? And the current was really strong, and we didn't care. We went out night swimming, and of course not. We were all hammered.
Right. It's fine.
Yeah. So me and Lost went out, and we were swimming, and we had a lot of people yelling at us to get out, right? To get out of the water because the current was too strong, and we were wasted, and they were concerned for our well-being, that we might be, like, I don't know, swept away to the dam or something and drown. Which, I mean, it's a legitimate concern. I get it.
Well, it was a bigger concern at that time because an incident had occurred.
That's true.
A couple of years before that. Yeah.
Yeah, but the neighbor's kid took the boat out for a little joyride and then ended up getting swept off over the dam, which nobody was harmed.
Right.
It was just the boat was destroyed.
Yeah.
Ah. So yeah, but that was one thing that happened. But anyway, so being lost, we said no, screw that. We were like hiding under the dock, and we took the gin bucket down with us. And so at this point, the gin bucket was pretty gross. Like I'm sure some river water got into there, but we were still like taking shots out of it and yelling and partying and stuff. All the while, we were getting yelled at by different friends,
Uh huh.
and Lost's parents were, screaming at us to get out of the
Uh huh.
water, but we didn't listen.
Yeah.
And at one point, I remember crawling up onto the ladder and yelling freedom. So, like, every time they would yell at us, we'd be like, no,
Oh,
freedom!
this was that night. Gotcha. Okay.
Yeah, we're like, you will not repress us. We're we're having fun, and we were just like making a statement at that point, right? Because we were absolutely hammered, but we were having fun, and people were trying to drag us down, and we weren't having it. I remember that being. It was so fun, and I remember how dramatic everyone was being. And me and Lost were just not buying into it. We were not having it, and that was a fond memory that I have
Yeah.
with Lost. Just that whole experience.
I do recall that day, for the most part. Uh, I guess that would have been the same time, because after the whole COVID thing, we had, instead of the turkey basters that we used to drink out of the bucket, we used a like squirt gun, like those big syringe type ones that you suck up the water and you spray it by pushing forward on the stick.
Oh, that's right. I forgot
Yeah,
about
yeah.
that.
Because I think before that moment, you and I were sitting out on the docks, and these two people come cruising up, or cruising down the river? They were cruising down toward the dam. And you'd seen them, and you flagged them in. So nothing like, yeah,
Oh, I forgot about
yeah,
that. Yeah, it was like a couple of
yeah.
kayakers. Yeah.
And you're just like, come on in. And with reluctance, these guys come paddling on over, and you're like, here, have some of this gin bucket. And I remember one of them going, you're not trying to poison me, are you? No.
No.
So you fill them up like you are their pit crew.
Yeah.
And
Oh
once they've
God.
had enough shots, they go right back to their exercise routine. They're like, thank you very much, and they're off to the races.
Yeah. Oh man, I completely forgot about that.
Yeah.
That's hilarious.
Yep.
Holy crap. That picture coming into my
It's starting to
mind.
clear up a
It
little
was,
bit.
yeah, it's starting to come back to me.
Take off those beer goggles and you start to go, wow, all right, yeah.
Oh man, it's funny about like I really love how we interact with just random strangers when we're down
Oh,
there.
yeah.
We get so wasted, and all inhibitions, are lowered, and we just go nutty, right? And we just make friends with complete strangers, and it's amazing. Like the sense of community that we have there is something I'll always treasure. But unfortunately, it's coming to a close.
It's so good. We share all these memories. We bond over these moments. We have these stories that we can tell, and I'm not advocating for overindulgence. You really have to monitor yourself.
No, you have to just let loose, bud.
Listen,
That's
I'm trying to put out a good message there. It's nice that we have these stories that we can all share together.
Yeah.
Glad that we can
Aw.
tell them and relive them.
It's fantastic. I'm sure we'll figure out something else to get ourselves absolutely, blitzed out of our minds,
Absolutely, but now
somewhere. And
we are going to start having stories of our own. That this time it's going to be at an event.
oh,
Yeah, you ready for it?
what's that?
We're going to start doing Renaissance Fair.
Oh boy, oh boy, oh boy. Maybe we'll talk about that in the next episode.
Yeah, maybe we'll start telling some stories then.
Okay, well, I guess tune in next time to find out more. Or maybe not next episode, but the episode after that. I don't know. We'll see.
We'll see.
We'll see. We'll see. Thank you for joining us on the Merle and Locke podcast. If you enjoyed this banter, please consider becoming a patron by going to patreon.com/Merle and Locke, or simply follow the link in the description. Thank you.